Oh.
I know you hot. Around here like an easy up baked, around here feeling like a baked potato. Both of y'all. Y'all been sitting in there like this here, like y'all been laying in tin foil. Right in the oven. Like this here, like I said, drop kicking Charter Landing door down, nigga. Y'all nigga just snatch the whole thing out and bring another one. It's gonna take 2 weeks. You better put it on next day shipping. Snatch the whole thing out the wall. Matthew 26 and 66. What think ye? They answered and said, he is guilty of death. They did spit in his face and buffeted him, and others smote him with the palms of their hands. So he's beating word. Acts chapter 5. Let's see if they beat those candlesticks. Those branches, I should say. Let's see if they beat them too. Acts 5 and 40. And to him they agreed when they had called the apostles and beaten them, and commanded that they should not speak in the name of Yahshua, and let them go. And they departed from the presence of the council, rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer shame for his name. And daily in the temple and in every house they ceased not to teach Yahshua HaMashiach. Now we come back to Exodus 25, right? We see that the candlestick had to be made of pure gold and beaten work, which means First Corinthians chapter 3. Sit down, Kingston. You got a potty? Walking like it. 1 Corinthians 3 and about verse 12. Now if any man build upon this foundation gold, silver, precious stone, wood, hay, stubble, every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. If a man's works abide, which he built thereupon, he shall receive a reward. If any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, yet so as by fire. Know ye not that you are the temple of Elohim, and that the spirit of Elohim dwell in you? If any man defile the temple of Elohim, him shall Elohim destroy. For the temple of Elohim is Kodesh, which temple ye are. So you can sit back and look at it. That fire can try your work to see if it's of man or if it is of Yah. If it be burnt up and he spare your life, it might be all right. But you know, if your work remained and you went through the fire, that means you had purged these things, and the works that you did showed your work was manifest with Yah. Matter of fact, John chapter 3, verse 18. Also knowing what was this candlestick be doing? What's the candlestick purpose for? To give light in the house, right? We'll get Matthew 5 and 17 after that. Or actually about Matthew 5 and 14. Just listen. Where you going?
I was still reading.
John 3 and 18. Come here, Richard. How you doing? I would say you're doing well. He that believe on him is not condemned, but he that believe not is condemned already, because he have not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of Elohim. This is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. Everyone that do evil hate the light, neither come to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that do truth come to the light, that his deeds may be manifest, that they are wrought in Elohim. You realize the works that had to be done to build the things and make the things of the house were worked by the Most High. Y'all realize that everything in the house, right, were things that were worked by the Most High. So when that candlestick give light, it showed forth that when you came in there, you made your works to be wrought in the Most High. That's what you got to sit back and look at. Matthew 5:14. You want to get down? How about this? It burns. It burns. All that it make me think about when Lil Ron stuck his finger in that plug. Them lights went out. He said, it burns. And sticking his finger in that milk. That was fun. That nigga was 5. Big old self sticking his fingers in the plug. Nigga walking in the front room to my, I smell son rubbing his stomach. No grandma in there cooking. He told me, I smell son. I said, let's read his nigga. Now he big little Ron now. He was a big little boy, a big grown man. Nothing. Always talking about sausage. For real. We used to make him say it too because he said it a particular way. That nigga be happy he sees some sausage. Saying sausage. Ready to go. I ain't making it up. That's real talk. That's my homeboy little brother. When you took me around there to see that nigga, I say, boy, that nigga know he was going to grow up and be a big nigga. That nigga was a big 5-year-old boy. That was a big boy. Ye are the light of the world. A city that set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it on a bushel, but on a candlestick, that it give light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. You do realize when Yahshua was on that tree that he was that candlestick giving light to the whole house. You know what I'm saying? To the whole house. Come on back to Exodus 25. That's why he said the candlestick give light unto the whole house. Because we about to read what he said about the lamp. And then we didn't read the part, but you know Paul was stoned too. He was made out of beaten work. Paul said, I was with, matter of fact, let me show you what Paul said he would be that. Let me say this. Let's not just say Paul would be. He took it straight to it. 2 Corinthians chapter 10. Verse 22. Make it 20. Let's make it 19 then. 2 Corinthians, I'm sorry, 11 and 19. 2 Corinthians 11 and 19, pardon me. 2 Corinthians 11 and 19. For you suffer fools gladly, seeing yourselves are wise. For ye suffer if a man bring you into bondage, if a man devour you, if a man take you, if a man exalt himself, if a man smite you on the face. I speak as concerning reproach, as though we had been weak. Howbeit, whensoever any is bold, I speak foolishly. I am bold also. Are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Are they the seed of Abraham? So am I. Are they the ministers of Hamashiach? I speak as a fool. I am more in labors, more abundant, in stripes above measure, in prisons more frequent, and deaths all. Of the Jews 5 times received I 40 stripes, save one. Thrice was I beaten with rods. Once was I stoned. Thrice I suffered shipwreck. Night and day I have been in the deep, and journeyings often, and perils of water, and perils of robbers, and perils by my own countrymen, and perils by the heathen, and perils in the city, and perils in the wilderness, and perils in the sea, and perils among false brethren, and weariness, and painfulness, and watchings often, and hunger, and thirst, and fastings often, and cold and nakedness. Sound like Paul was beat pretty much too, right? So what does go with us? So what does go along with the son that we looked at last night? In Zechariah, 3rd chapter. That means Paul was a wonder and amazement. That's why he told him he was speaking as a fool. Oh, you suffer reproach too? Let me speak as a fool. What you mean? I've been beaten. I've been through a lot of trouble. Remember he said, you and your fellows will be a wonder. You know what I'm talking about? The offscoring of the world. People going to look at amazement. Look at what y'all going through. Beaten work, pure gold. Paul showed you right there in out his epistle letters and what he went through, that he was an apostle. Law back him up. Come on back to Exodus 25. Law back him right on up. Bad for business how all these dudes, where they so smart, always talking about we need to hit the streets and see what I see the dudes say, I'm going to start shooting in the streets. So sit back and interview people, see where our knowledge at. And he's stupid himself. You've been robbed, huh? 25 and 37. Thou shalt make the 7 lamps thereof, and they shall light the lamps thereof, that they may give light over against it, and the tongs thereof, and the snuff dishes thereof shall be of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold shall he make it, with all these vessels. Look that thou make them after their pattern, which was showed thee in the mount. So what are these 7 lamps giving light over against it in this house? That's now you got your 7 candlesticks. You know what I'm saying? Look, he said, of a talent of pure gold shall he make it with these vessels. Remember, the 7 eyes were the 7 stars in his right hand, and the mystery of the 7 candlesticks were the 7 synagogues, right? Now he's sitting back telling you there's 7 lamps to give light over against it. So now you got these 7 lamps being that mystery of those 7 candlesticks that was in his hand to give light over the world. We're supposed to be a light over the world. You know what I'm talking about? These people are supposed to see you and acknowledge that we are the people of the Most High. Matter of fact, look at 1 Corinthians 14. Something Paul said when somebody came into the spot. 1 Corinthians 14 and 23. Make it 22. Hey. Let it end. 1 Corinthians 14, 22. Whereas tongues are for a sign, not to them that believe, but to them that believe not. But prophesying serve not for them that believe not, but for them which believe. Because the testimony of Yahshua is the spirit of prophecy. So that means we looking at this stuff, this is for people who believe. If therefore the whole synagogue be come together into one place and all speak with tongues, there come in those that are unlearned or unbelievers. Will they not say that ye are mad? But if all prophecy and there come one that believe not, or one unlearned, he is convinced of all, he is judged of all, and thus are the secrets of his heart made manifest. So falling down on his face, he will worship Elohim and report that Elohim is in you of the truth, meaning you would have let your light shine. Because he said if they would have came in there and heard the testimony of Yahshua, they would be convinced they need to repent. The secrets of his hearts will be manifest. The word of Yah is sharper than a two-edged sword, dividing asunder to the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. That means it was, he said, man, he said those that hate the truth don't come to the light lest their deeds should be reproved. So if these 7 lamps are always giving light over against it, then this being a testimony against these people, that means their deeds would be corrected. And if they had any manner of humility, they would fall upon their feet and say, truly I'm a sinner and the Most High is in you. That's what they would do. And you notice the key thing what he told them, make sure you do it after the pattern which I showed you. That's why he kept telling them, how will the scriptures be fulfilled? How will the scriptures be fulfilled? I got to do it exactly how it was rehearsed in my ear when Moses gave it to me. You see what I'm saying? Exodus 26. So you know what that means? Ain't no deviating to the left hand, to the right hand. Ain't no I'm going to do my own thing. You're going to have to do exactly what you're told or put the book down. 26 and 1. Exodus. I'm going to show y'all one thing. We ain't going to touch 27. You're going to stop at 26. Moreover, thou shalt make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, with cherubims. Of cunning work shalt thou make them. If it's cunning work, that means it's skillful, right? The length of one curtain shall be 8 and 20 cubits, the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits. Every one of the curtains shall have one measure. Every one of the curtains shall have one measure. The 5 curtains shall be coupled together one to another, and other 5 curtains shall be coupled one to another. Thou shalt make loops of blue upon the edge of the one curtain from the selvage in the coupling. Likewise thou shalt make in the uttermost edge another curtain in the coupling of the second. 50 loops shalt thou make in the one curtain, and 50 loops shalt thou make in the edge of the curtain that is in the coupling of the second, that the loops may take hold one of another. And thou shalt make 50 taches of gold, and couple the curtains together with taches, and it shall be one tabernacle. Now what do you think this means when he told you that with these curtains it'll be one house? Because now you know this is actually the rear and up of the house. Any of y'all ever seen pictures of what that first tabernacle of the congregation looked like? Any of y'all ever seen that before? You ever seen it before? How many of y'all ever seen it before? You raise your hand. Like Golden said, it looked like a big tent. You know what I'm saying? Like if you ever been to like a circus or something, not comparing the house of y'all to a circus, but how they kind of construct them tent houses at a circus, that's kind of similar. That's more than likely where they got the idea from. You know what I'm saying? I can't say that with all certainty, but I'm 90% confident that's where they got the idea from. You know what I'm saying? So if y'all ever seen them circus tents, right? Y'all ever seen it before? That kind of like what it looked like. You know, they got them curtains reared up in all them places and all that stuff lock it down. And now he just sat back and said that it's got to have one measure. One measure. Then he also said that it's one house. Why would he say that? Why is that important? Well, he didn't ask when they would be made one. He asked when would they have the kingdom. But Ephesians 4 and 1. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Remember that there, he didn't ask would they be made one. They asked, will you restore the kingdom at this time? Because they thought, man, look here. That's what a lot of dudes be saying, if Yahshua is a savior, why we still in captivity? Because that's not what he was coming to save you from at that time, you nigga group. He never told you that. You know what I'm saying? Then they turn around and say this here. Well, if he came to save us from sin, why we still sinning? You still sinning because that's what you want to do. Don't put that on him. Yeah, they want to. That's just what that. That's what that Living Color thing song said, right? You can do what you want to do. That's what them niggas do, and they want to blame Yahshua because they doing what they want to do, saying he did his job. He did his job. You just ain't doing yours, nigga. Ephesians 4:1. I therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you that you walk worthy of the vocation wherewith you are called, with all lowliness and meekness, with long suffering, forbearing one another in love. You know, our father Jacob showed us that. You know what I'm saying? After a while, we go ahead and get freaky with them, go crazy niggas, just say Yaakov. Yaakov told us that. Jacob told us that. You know how he showed us that? Because he forbeared Esau when he came with him with love. He didn't want to kill or do nothing to Esau. Did he? When Esau wanted to kill him, he came to give presents to Esau. He forbeared his brother-in-law, and he was lowly because he was a plain man dwelling in tents. Ain't had no desire to want to be seen and be known. That's how it happens to you. Verse 3, endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. One house, one measure. There is one body and one Spirit, even as you are called, and one hope of your calling. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one Elohim and Father of all, who is above all, and through all, and in you all. But unto every one of us is given grace according to the measure of the gift of Hamashiach. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, because there's one measure now. It's many gifts of the Spirit, but one Spirit, one measure. Y'all follow me? 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 5. Make it full. Now there are diversity of gifts, but the same Spirit. There are differences of administrations, but the same Lord. There are diversities of operations, but it's the same Elohim, which work all in all. But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal. For one is given by the Spirit the word of wisdom. To another, the word of knowledge by the same Spirit. To another, faith by the same Spirit. To another, gifts of healing by the same Spirit. To another, working of miracles. To another, prophecy. To another, discerning of spirits. To another, diverse kinds of tongues. To another, interpretation of tongues. But all these work the one and self-same Spirit, dividing to every man severally as he will. For as the body is one and hath many members, and all the members of that one body, being many, are one body, so also is Hamashiach. For by one Spirit are we all baptized into one body, whether we be Jews or Gentiles, whether we be bond or free, and have been all made to drink into one Spirit. So you know what that is? That's that Ephesians 2:2. They've been made fellow citizens and members of the household, right? And that's what Paul wrote in Ephesians chapter 2. So when he's saying one measure and one house, this including the stranger too. He wasn't excluded. I don't want to quote the man wrong. Fellow citizens with the saints and of the household of Elohim. He let them in the house. Come on back to Exodus 26. I was going to say, boy, what you done here? You done put you in the corner, but you close the door. So you see how that's torn in? One house, one measure. Diversity of spirits, but the one measure of the same Spirit. Verse 7. I'm going to see who catch this here in verse 7. And thou shalt make curtains of goat hairs to be a covering upon the tabernacle. 11 curtains shalt thou make. Why that's important? A curtain of goat hairs, you'll make 11 of them. A curtain of goat hairs. you'll make 11 of them. With Jacob. Excellent. What did Jacob put on his body? Goat hairs. How many apostles were there when Yahshua rose from the dead? I ain't talking to y'all, I'm talking to people in the room. 11. So I got 11 covenants for 11 men. What John 20 say? And he breathed on them and they received the Ruach HaKodesh, even though we know that symbolizing with Adam. So we sit back and see 11 covenants. Goat hair. So he talking about being covered with what? The Spirit. John 14 and 15. Which goes back to what we just read in Revelation, right? Keep your garments, lest you be found to be walked naked. Be found naked and your shame appear. Dang, I just forgot what I just missed. What I just said?
John 14
and 15. Missing out that mind went blank for a second. 14 and 15. If you love me, keep my commandments. And I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another comforter, that he may abide with you forever. Even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it see him not, neither know him, but ye know him, for he dwell with you, and shall be in you. So he gave him a cover. Because he was talking to all 12, but you know one was a son of perdition. So I made 11 curses. I made 11. Made him out of goat's hair. You see how that's important? You just think that he had Jacob putting on goat hair just to put on goat hair. You know what I'm talking about? But that was a covering for him. And that covering allowed him to partake in the blessing, right? We know when we conform into the image of the Son and put on that curtain to cover our iniquity, then we able to be received the blessing or the inheritance of the firstborn. That's why we turned back around and looked at what we read in 1 Peter chapter 1. Begotten to a lively hope, to an inheritance which is in heaven, undefiled, which fade not away. Come on back to Exodus 26. You see how this stuff tied all in together? So let's sit back again and let's read verse 7 again. Thou shalt make a curtain of goat hairs to be a covering upon the tabernacle. 11 curtains shalt thou make. The length of one curtain shall be 30 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits, and the 11 curtains shall be all of one measure. Thou shalt couple 5 curtains by themselves, and 6 curtains by themselves, and double the 6th curtain in the forefront of the tabernacle. Thou shalt make 50 loops on the edge of one curtain, that is the outmost in the coupling, and 50 loops in the edge of the curtain, which couple the second. And thou shalt make 50 taches of brass, and put the taches in the loops, and couple the tent together, that it may be one. Again, you see the noticing that he's saying to do all this stuff to make the house one. And the remnant that remain of the curtains of the tent, the half curtain that remain, shall hang over the back side of the tabernacle. And a cubit on the one side, and a cubit on the other side, of that which remain in the length of the curtains of the tent, it shall hang over the sides of the tabernacle on this side and on that side to cover it. So now what do you come to your mind when you hear that? Curtain on the back side, curtain on the left side, curtain on the right side. Well, you should know that the curtain on the back side to cover it is when he made it go dark. But then the curtain on the one side and the curtain on the other side, you see those 2 thieves on the side of the Messiah. Covering it, because weren't they not covering the tabernacle? On each side. Now let's read verse 14. And thou shalt make a covering for the tent of ram skin dyed red, and a covering above of badger skin. So why do you think this thing is dyed red? Why would this garment be dyed red? Because of his blood. Because when they took him out, them 50 taches of brass and them 50 loops, they wouldn't say with Pentecost of that day, because that's dealing with fruit. This is something else. We'll just wait for that. Just be patient. I give it to you. I can't give you everything at one time. But it ain't with Pentecost. You know what I'm saying? It ain't dealing with Pentecost, though. I see why you would make that connection. You know what I'm saying? But Pentecost is counted to the times of fruit. You know what I'm talking about? When the giving. We talking about the house being reared up here. So let's look at verse 15 then. And thou shalt make the boards for the tabernacle of shittim wood standing up. 10 cubits shall, but I want y'all to keep in mind that brass is important though. Thou shalt make 10 cubits shall be the length of the board, and a cubit and a half shall be the breadth of one board. 10 tenons in one board, set in order one against another. And thou shalt make for all the boards of the tabernacle. Thou shalt make the boards of the tabernacle 20 boards on the south side southward. Thou shalt make 40 sockets of silver under the 20 boards. 2 sockets under one board for its 2 tenons, 2 sockets under another board for its 2 tenons. That dropped down about verse 26, because he keeps saying the same thing on east side, north, south, east, and west. And thou shalt make bars of shittim wood, 5 for the boards on the one side of the tabernacle, 5 bars for the boards on the other side of the tabernacle, 5 bars for the boards on the side of the tabernacle for the 2 sides westward. And in the middle bar in the midst of the board shall reach from end to end. And thou shalt overlay the boards with gold and make their rings of gold for places for the bars. And thou shalt overlay the bars with gold. And thou shalt rear up the tabernacle according to the fashion which was showed thee in the mount. What do you take from that about taking these boards and overlaying them with gold and then rearing it up? You know what it means to rear it up, right? Lift it up. So when you see this, as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so shall the Son of Man be lifted up. So what we're looking at is, this is a tabernacle made by the Lord and not with hands. That's what we're looking at right here. Because this man was lifted up. Come on now, let's see what the rest of it is. Thou shalt make a veil of blue and purple and scarlet, fine twined linen of cunning work, with cherubim shall it be made. Thou shalt hang it. Well, I got to deal with the brass, because I mentioned that, and it's in the next one. Thou shalt hang it up with 4 pillars of shittim, wood overlaid with gold. Their hook shall be of gold upon 4 sockets of silver. This is what it says. Thou shalt hang it up upon 4 pillars of wood with gold sockets of silver. What color nails usually be? They usually be 2 colors. What color they usually be? They usually be brass or brown, or they be silver, don't they? He just said, hang it up. And thou shalt hang up upon the veil under the taches, that thou may bring in hither within the veil the ark of the testimony. The veil shall divide unto you between the Kodesh place and the most Kodesh. Thou shalt put the mercy seat upon the ark of the testimony in the most Kodesh place. And thou shalt set the table without the veil, and the candlestick over against the table on the side of the tabernacle toward the south. And thou shalt put the table on the north side. And thou shalt make a hanging for the door of the tent of blue and purple and scarlet, fine twined linen. Thou shalt make for the hanging of pillars. And thou shalt make for the hanging of 5 pillars of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold, and their hook shall be of gold. And thou shalt cast 5 sockets of brass for them. So what you think this means, why you keep seeing about this blue and this purple and this scarlet? What about these things were set in the table without the veil, and the candlestick over against the table, towards the south of the tabernacle, on the side towards the south, and put the table on the north side? What do you think that could be bringing us back to? Well, let's deal with the first thing. What's the blue, purple, and scarlet about? You know they put a gorgeous robe on them in Luke 22, right? Or 23, right? You know they put a purple robe on them in Mark 16 or 15, right? We just dealt with the scarlet robe. You wondering why they keep, it's that coat of many colors, and they put all these different robes on. You already know. These are the curtains or the veil or the color of the veil in the house. You know how he was outside the veil. Yahshua came out of the Kodesh tabernacle and came and dwelt with man. You realize that the veil is what kept things hidden. This was the most set apart place. You couldn't come in there. They say put this outside the veil. Outside of it. So you can begin to see, to go back to what we looked at. Wisdom, cry, understanding, utter her voice. If he stayed within the veil, you don't know. See, come back on here to 1 Peter chapter 1, look what Peter told him. No, not with the spirit in the water. Because like I said, that goes back to that gorgeous robe. Being a coat of many colors.
30 minutes at 6 o'clock. Those needing a ride home, please call now.
Anybody need a ride home? Yes, sir. Anybody need a ride home? Okay, call. Library closes promptly at 6 p.m. Where we at? Verse 11. Make it 10. 1 Peter 1 and 10. Of which salvation the prophets have inquired and searched diligently, who prophesied of the grace that should come unto you, seeing what manner of time the spirit of Hamashiach, which was in them, did signify, when it testified beforehand the sufferings of Hamashiach and the glory that should follow. Unto whom it was revealed that not unto themselves, but unto us they did minister the things which are now reported unto you by them which have preached the gospel unto you with the Ruach HaKodesh, sent down from heaven, which things the angels desire to look into. Which just take us back to Moses. He had a veil over his face. Now this man come outside the veil. So you can see these things now. See, come over here to 2 Corinthians chapter 3. I'm gonna show y'all one other thing that when we know Hamashiach was blind. I'm for real. I ain't being right. 2 Corinthians 3 and 14. Make it 13. 12 is better. Seeing then that we have such hope, we use great plainness of speech, and not as Moses, which put a veil over his face, that the children of Israel could not steadfastly look to the end of that which is abolished. You don't realize that when Yahshua came back from the dead, he used great plainness of speech. Not like Moses, that veil was gone. He was outside the veil. But their minds were blinded, for until this day remained the same veil untaken away in the reading of the Old Testament, which veil is done away in Hamashiach. But even unto this day, when Moses is read, the veil is upon their heart. That's the same thing we read in John chapter 9. They couldn't see because the veil was on their heart. They understand it was dark. Come on back to Exodus now. 26. So you know when they put the table on the north side, that's when they lifted the table up. The candlestick over against the table on the south side would be the disciples there looking up at him. Because he said, you will look unto me whom you have pierced, and you will mourn for me, as one mourn for an only son with bitterness. Let's look at verse 1 to 27. We'll run him down to probably about verse 6 or verse 7 and call it a day. Exodus 27 and 1. Thou shalt make an altar of shittim wood, 5 cubits long, 5 cubits broad. The altar shall be 4 square, and the height thereof shall be 3 cubits. Thou shalt make the horns of it upon 4 corners. Therefore his horn shall be the same, and thou shalt overlay it with brass. Remember how we dealt with the 4 corners, hands and feet? That's right. That's what we're talking about. Okay. Thou shalt make his pans to receive his ashes, and his shovels, and his basins, and his flesh hoods, and his fire pans. All the blessings thereof thou shalt make of brass. Thou shalt make it for a grate of a network of brass, and upon the net thou shalt make 4 brazen rings in the 4 corners thereof. And thou shalt put it under the compass of the altar beneath, that the net may be even to the midst of the altar. And thou shalt make the staves of the altar, staves of shittim wood, overlaid with brass. And the staves shall be put into the rings, and the staves shall be upon the 2 sides of the altar, to bear it. I'm going to ask y'all a question. He's steady talking about these horns of the altar and what color they had to be. And he said that every vessel had to be brass too. So what is he actually telling you? Because don't Revelation chapter 1 say that his body was polished like fine brass? Didn't Daniel say his body looked like brass? And now he just said, take this wood, this tree, and overlay it with brass. So the law told you he was black right there. And then he said all the vessels got to be of brass. So when we look at Matthew chapter 10, that means all these vessels got to be Israelites then. All the apostles got to be Israelites then. Let's look at Matthew chapter 10. So that killed these niggas when they say, see, Simon the Canaanite, he was a Canaanite. Not if you know the law, you've done it. Man can't pick no Canaanite to be no vessel in this house. Because they stupid. Huh? What's that? Matthew 10. Verse 2. Now the name of the 12 apostles are these: the first Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew his brother, James the son of Zebedee, John his brother, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the publican, James the son of Alphaeus, Lebas, whose surname was Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanite, and Judas Iscariot, who also betrayed him. These 12 Yahshua sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and to any of the city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So you mean to tell me he's going to take somebody who's not of his people and then tell him not to go to his own people? That's hypocrisy right there, ain't it? That's hypocrisy right there, ain't it? I'm going to tell you, go talk to him. But don't go talk to him and y'all are the same house. Y'all the same people, but I'm telling you, go talk to them. That means they all got to be in the same lane then. That means you'll take hold of him that is a Jew, and her, we will go with you, because we heard Elohim or God is with you, because you in this house. He said to the Jew first, then to the Gentile. You know that's how subtle he threw that in there about these things got to be brass. And then we go to wonder, guess what? We read about the angel in Ezekiel 40 being described as what color? Brass. Vessel in the house. You wonder why it described a man as being the color of brass. Because it's supposed to click in your mind. It's that thing on that table of wood in Exodus. I want y'all to see something that's here about this here. Ezra, chapter 3. After Ezra 3, Hebrews 3. After Hebrews 3, Matthew 13. Hey, listen, got some rich cracks. Praise the Lord. Matter of fact, Ezra 4 and 3 is what I want. Hello, Stan. Ezra 4 and 3. Let's see what he's saying. Lord will, Wednesday, I'll show you the correlation with Zerubbabel and Yahshua and somebody else. It's two other people, I ain't gonna call their name. You find it out. It deal with Joshua, son of Nun. You look for it. See who find it, because ain't nobody find Jeremiah 36. But Zerubbabel and Yahshua and the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel said unto them, let's back up to verse 1. Now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity builded the temple of Yah under Yah Elohim of Israel, they came to Zerubbabel and the chief of the fathers and said unto them, Let us build with you, for we seek your Elohim as you do. And we do sacrifice unto him since the days of Ashur-Haddon, king of Assur, which brought us up hither. But Zerubbabel and Yahshua and the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel said unto them, You have nothing to do with us to build a house unto our Elohim. But we ourselves together will build a house unto Yah Elohim of Israel, as King Cyrus of the king of Persia have commanded us. Sounds like you just said the same thing you read in Exodus 27. All the vessels got to be of brass. You ain't got nothing to do with this here. It's Israelite business. When it comes to building this house, you stay in your place. We ain't got no problem with you serving our power, but you ain't finna help us build this house. They ain't got nothing to do with you. Hebrews chapter 3. Hebrews 3 and 1. Wherefore, Kodesh brethren and partakers of the heavenly calling, consider the apostle and high priest of our profession, Yahshua HaMashiach, who was faithful to him that appointed him, as also Moses was faithful in all his house. For this man was counted worthy of more glory than Moses, inasmuch as he who hath builded the house have more honor than the house. For every house is builded by some man, but he that built all things is Elohim. And Moses truly was faithful in all his house as a servant for a testimony of those things which are to be spoken out. But HaMashiach as a son over his own house, whose house are we, if we hold fast in confidence and rejoicing of the hope firm unto the end. As we see what he just told you, obviously Yahshua counted more worthy than the house because he is the house. He built the house. Which goes, what do we know that's in Hebrews chapter 8 when he says, we have a minister of the sanctuary of the true tabernacle which the Lord pitched and not man. And that's Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 2. We know that man pitched this tabernacle we read about in Exodus. But we know that all of these things are actually a foreshadowing of the tabernacle that the Most High himself made. He formed the sun and made the sun and pitched him to be a dwelling place for his people. Through his death, right? Now, I didn't sit back and look. We didn't read the tearing of the veil. Let me make sure I didn't miss that down. Let me make sure we missed that. 26, Michael, did I miss that? No, we didn't. We good. We ain't got that yet. That's in the coming thing. Because you know the veil split when he died, right? And that's when all things was revealed. Matthew 13:47. So we got the roll. Tizzy Lizzie. Hey, Tizzy. Hey, Tizzy. Again, the kingdom of heaven, exactly. He opened up the house and now you're able to come into the most Kodesh place. That's another thing for another time. Probably Wednesday. Because remember, the veil was to keep you out of the most set apart place. That's what it said, right? So if the veil gone, that means you can come into it then. Which means we can come into the sun. So that means, I say, another thing for another time. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a net that was cast into the sea and gathered of every kind, which when it was full, they drew to the shore and sat down and gathered the good in the vessels, but cast the bad away. So shall it be at the end of the world. The angels shall come forth and sever the wicked from among the just, and shall cast them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Yahshua said unto them, have you understood all these things? Y'all understood all these things? Praise the Lord. They said unto him, yea, Lord. Then said he unto them, therefore every scribe which is instructed unto the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is a householder, which bring forth out of his treasure things new and old. Praise ye Yah for Yahshua HaMashiach in the world. Oh, how long that was?